Chance encounters. Maya Chen tapped her foot impatiently on the rain-soaked sidewalk, checking her watch for the fifth time in as many minutes. The Seattle downpour had already ruined her carefully arranged portfolio, and now her ride was late. Perfect timing for the most important presentation of her career. "Come on," she muttered, pulling up the EcoRide app on her phone. The little car icon hadn't moved in 3 minutes. At this rate, she'd miss her chance to pitch her community garden initiative to the city council. When the sleek electric sedan finally pulled up, Maya yanked open the door before it had fully stopped. "You're 12 minutes late," she said, sliding into the back seat and placing her damp portfolio carefully beside her. The driver glanced back through the rearview mirror, his dark eyes crinkling slightly at the corners. Traffic on Pike was backed up due to the climate march. Ironically, I was trying to take the eco-friendly route. Maya caught the hint of amusement in his voice and bristled. "Well, some of us have appointments about actual environmental change, not just symbolic gestures. Tough morning?" he asked, maneuvering smoothly into traffic. "The worst," Maya sighed, some of her anger deflating. "I've spent 6 months developing a proposal for urban community gardens, and now I might not even get to present it because EcoRide's algorithm can't account for a simple protest." Instead of the defensive response she expected, the driver nodded thoughtfully. "That's fair. The app should have rerouted me earlier." He made a quick turn down an alley Maya didn't recognize. "Shortcut. Might make up some time." Maya studied him more carefully. He wasn't what she expected from an EcoRide driver. No uniform, just a simple button-down shirt with rolled-up sleeves revealing forearms marked with what looked like faint engine grease. His black hair fell in careless waves and a day's stubble shadowed his jaw. "I'm Nico, by the way," he said. "Maya, so community gardens? That's important work." Maya hadn't expected genuine interest from a rideshare driver. "It is. I've designed a system that converts vacant lots into productive green spaces. It would provide fresh food for neighborhoods with limited access, create jobs, reduce urban heat islands, and improve mental health outcomes." "Impressive," Nico said, taking another unexpected turn. "Have you considered maintenance costs? That's often where these initiatives struggle." Maya blinked, surprised by the insightful question. "Actually, I've developed a self-sustaining financial model. Part of the produce would be sold to local restaurants at premium prices, subsidizing the community portion." Nico nodded approvingly. "Smart, creating value across different market segments." The conversation flowed easily for the next 10 minutes as Maya explained her vision and Nico asked surprisingly perceptive questions. When they pulled up to City Hall with 3 minutes to spare, Maya felt a twinge of regret that the ride was ending. "Thanks for the shortcut," she said, gathering her things. "Good luck with your presentation," Nico replied with a genuine smile. The city would be foolish not to fund it. As Maya walked away, something made her turn back. Nico was still watching her, a thoughtful expression on his face. She raised her hand in a small wave, and he returned the gesture before pulling away from the curb. Later that afternoon, as the city council unanimously approved the first phase of her project, Maya found herself thinking of the rideshare driver and his unexpected insights. She made a mental note to leave him a 5-star rating, and maybe request him specifically next time she needed a ride. What she didn't know was that Nico Rivera wasn't just any driver, but the founder and CEO of EcoRide, the fastest-growing sustainable transportation company in the Pacific Northwest. And her complaint about the app's algorithm was already being addressed in an emergency meeting that very afternoon. Repeated journeys. 3 weeks later, Maya found herself once again opening the EcoRide app. Her finger hovered over the request-specific driver option, something she'd never used before. After a moment's hesitation, she tapped it and entered Nico in the search field. To her surprise, his profile appeared immediately. She requested a ride to her weekly farmer's market visit, wondering if he'd even remember her. 15 minutes later, the same sleek sedan pulled up. Nico rolled down the window with a grin. "The community garden lady. How did the presentation go?" Maya couldn't help smiling as she slid into the front seat this time. "They approved the first phase. We break ground next month." "I knew they would," he said, pulling into traffic. "Your passion is pretty convincing." Over the next hour, as Nico drove her to the market and waited while she selected organic produce from local vendors, Maya found herself sharing more than she normally would with a stranger. She told him about growing up in a food desert in East Portland, about studying environmental science while working 3 jobs, about the community activism that had become her life's mission. "What about you?" she asked as they loaded her purchases into the trunk. "How does someone who clearly understands economic sustainability end up driving for Eco-Ride?" Nico hesitated, then shrugged. "I like driving, and I meet interesting people." "That's not a real answer," Maya challenged, but she was smiling. "Maybe I'm gathering market research," he offered. "Understanding the customer experience." There was something in his tone that made Maya wonder, but before she could press further, he changed the subject. "So what's next for your garden project?" During the following weeks, Maya found herself requesting Nico for all her rides. Sometimes they were brief trips across town. Other times, longer journeys to meetings with potential sponsors. Each time, their conversations deepened. Nico told her about his family's migration from Puerto Rico, his engineering degree, his passion for sustainable transportation. But he remained frustratingly vague about his current life, always steering conversations back to Maya's work. One evening, as rain lashed against the windows during a particularly nasty storm, Maya's regular ride home from a community meeting was canceled. Without thinking, she requested Nico. "You shouldn't be out in this," she said when he arrived, soaked just from the short dash from his car to the building's entrance. "Neither should you," he countered, shaking water from his jacket. "But here we are." The drive to her apartment was treacherous, with flooded streets and wind-whipped debris. When Nico finally pulled up to her building, the rain had somehow intensified. "You should come up," Maya found herself saying. "At least until the storm passes. I can make tea." Nico's hesitation was visible, a brief internal debate playing across his features before he nodded. "Tea sounds perfect." In her small apartment, with its mismatched furniture and walls covered in botanical prints and climate action posters, Maya watched Nico move with unexpected ease. He seemed more comfortable in her modest space than in his luxury vehicle. As they sat by her window, watching the storm while sharing tea and the homemade cookies her neighbor had dropped off, Maya felt a shift in their dynamic. This wasn't just friendly banter between a passenger and driver anymore. When their fingers brushed as she handed him a second cookie, the electricity between them was unmistakable. Their eyes met, and for a moment Maya thought he might kiss her. Instead, Nico gently tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "I should probably go before the roads get worse," he said softly, though they both knew the storm was already beginning to subside. Maya walked him to the door, 1,000 unspoken words hanging between them. "Same time Thursday?" she asked, referring to her weekly meeting with the garden committee. Nico nodded, then hesitated. "Maya, there's something I should tell you." Her phone rang, interrupting whatever confession he was about to make. It was the garden project coordinator with an emergency. By the time she finished the call, the moment had passed, and Nico was already heading down the stairs with a quick wave. What he hadn't told her was that tomorrow, Eco-Ride would be announcing a major new initiative, a partnership with community organizations to provide free transportation to food-insecure neighborhoods. And Maya's garden project was at the top of their list for potential collaboration. Hidden Truths. The email from Eco-Ride's corporate headquarters arrived in Maya's inbox with surprising formality. "We would like to discuss a potential partnership with your community garden initiative," it read, requesting a meeting at their downtown office the following week. Maya stared at the screen, excitement bubbling up. This could solve their transportation challenges. Many community members couldn't easily reach the garden sites. But something nagged at her. Why was a rideshare company suddenly interested in urban agriculture? She tried requesting Nico that afternoon, hoping to ask if he knew anything about the company's new direction, but the app showed him unavailable. For the first time in weeks, she rode with a different driver. "Do you know a driver named Nico?" she asked casually. The driver, a friendly woman named Layla, glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "Nico Rivera?" "Not personally, but everyone's heard of him." Maya frowned. "What do you mean?" Layla laughed. "Oh, you must be new to Eco-Ride. He's kind of a legend. Before Maya could press further, they arrived at her destination, and Layla was already accepting another ride. Maya stepped out, curiosity unsatisfied but growing. For the next 3 days, Nico remained unavailable on the app. Maya found herself missing their conversations more than she cared to admit. When the day of her meeting at EcoRide headquarters arrived, she took public transportation, still mulling over Layla's cryptic comment. The EcoRide building was a marvel of sustainable architecture, solar panels, living walls, rainwater collection systems. Maya felt a flutter of nervousness as she entered the soaring lobby. A receptionist guided her to a conference room with sweeping views of the city and the mountains beyond. Ms. Chen, a polished woman in her 40s, greeted her. I'm Diane Alvarez, Chief Operations Officer. We're very excited about the potential collaboration with your garden initiative. As Diane outlined EcoRide's vision for providing subsidized transportation to community garden volunteers and distributing produce, Maya's excitement grew. This was exactly what her project needed. Our CEO is particularly passionate about this initiative, Diane explained. He believes transportation equity and food justice go hand in hand. I'd love to thank him personally, Maya said. Is he available today? Something flickered across Diane's face. Amusement? He's actually out of the office right now, but I'm sure you'll meet him soon. After the meeting, energized by the partnership prospects, Maya decided to explore the neighborhood before heading home. As she rounded the corner, she nearly collided with someone exiting a coffee shop. "Nico!" she exclaimed, recognizing him instantly despite his more formal attire, a tailored shirt and slacks instead of his usual casual wear. His surprise mirrored hers. "Maya, what are you doing in this part of town?" "I had a meeting at EcoRide headquarters," she said. "They want to partner with my garden project." She studied his reaction carefully. "Actually, I tried to book you this week. The app said you were unavailable." "I've been busy with some projects," he said vaguely. Maya narrowed her eyes. "The driver who picked me up seemed to think you're some kind of EcoRide celebrity." Nico winced. "Let me buy you a coffee," he said. "I think we should talk." Inside the cafe, they claimed a quiet corner table. Nico kept glancing at the door as though worried about being recognized. "So," Maya prompted when he remained silent, "what's going on? Are you some kind of corporate spy, researching the driver experience?" Nico laughed softly, then met her eyes with newfound seriousness. "I do have a confession to make. I'm not just—" His phone buzzed with an incoming call. Nico checked the screen and grimaced. "I'm sorry I have to take this. It's an emergency with one of our electric charging stations." He stood reluctantly. "Can we continue this conversation later? Tomorrow evening?" Maya nodded, feeling a complex mix of emotions as she watched him hurry away. Whatever secret Nico was keeping, she had a feeling it was about to change everything between them. What Maya didn't realize was that in his haste to answer the emergency call, Nico had left his company badge on the table, the one that identified him as Nicholas Rivera, founder and CEO of EcoRide. Part 4. The revelation. Maya stared at the badge on her kitchen counter. She'd discovered it in her purse after returning home from the cafe, having unconsciously picked it up when gathering her things. The photo was unmistakably Nico, but the title beside his name sent shockwaves through her system. Nicolas Rivera, founder and CEO. Everything clicked into place. His insightful questions about her project, his mysterious unavailability, his vague answers about his work. For weeks, she'd been pouring her heart out to the very man whose company she'd criticized that first day. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Maya, it's Nico. Can we talk? There's an environmental benefit gala tomorrow night at the Meridian Hotel. I'd like you to come as my guest." Maya's emotions cycled between anger, embarrassment, and confusion. Had he been laughing at her all this time? Was this whole friendship, or whatever it was becoming, just some rich CEO's idea of entertainment? After a sleepless night, Maya decided to attend the gala. If nothing else, she deserved an explanation face to face. The Meridian's ballroom was transformed into an elegant showcase of sustainable luxury. Maya felt out of place in her one formal dress, surrounded by Seattle's environmental elite in designer eco-fashion. She spotted Diane from Eco Ride, who greeted her warmly. "We're so excited to have you here. Nico specifically requested your invitation." Before Maya could respond, the room quieted as someone approached the podium. Nicholas, stood before the crowd in a tailored suit that transformed him from the casual driver she knew into the powerful executive he truly was. "Transportation and access have always been at the heart of environmental justice," he began, his voice carrying the same warmth but with newfound authority. "Today, I'm proud to announce EcoRide's Community Access initiative," as he outlined the program, including the partnership with Maya's Garden project. She felt a confusing mix of pride in her work and betrayal at his deception. When the presentation ended, Nico made his way directly to her, ignoring the industry leaders trying to catch his attention. "You forgot this," Maya said coldly, holding out his badge. "Maya, please let me explain." "Explain what? That you've been lying to me for weeks? That you let me ramble about my little project while you ran a multi-million-dollar company?" Her voice shook. "Was I some kind of social experiment?" "No," Nico said, pain evident in his eyes. "It was never like that." "Then what was it like?" Maya demanded. "The first day when you criticized the app, you were right. We'd gotten complacent. I started driving occasionally to understand our user experience better," he explained. "But then I met you, and for the first time in years, someone wasn't treating me like the eco-ride guy. You challenged me, spoke honestly to me, so you kept pretending to be just a driver?" "I kept being myself," Nico insisted. "The title doesn't change who I am." "But it changes everything else," Maya countered. "Every conversation we had was based on a lie." A photographer approached, asking for a picture of Mr. Rivera and his date. Maya stepped away. "I'm not his date," she said firmly. "And I was just leaving." "Maya, wait." But she was already moving through the crowd, dignity intact despite the tears threatening to spill. Outside in the cool night air, Maya took a deep breath. The garden partnership would help countless community members, she reminded herself. She couldn't reject it because of her personal feelings. Still, as she made her way home alone, the loss of what might have been felt heavier than any professional gain. Back in the ballroom, Nico watched her go, ignoring the executives clamoring for his attention. For the first time since founding EcoRide, his success felt hollow. New destinations. A month passed. The community garden partnership with EcoRide launched to great success. Electric shuttles now transported volunteers to the garden sites and delivered fresh produce to neighborhoods throughout the city. Maya threw herself into the work, expanding to 2 additional locations. She hadn't seen Nico since the gala. She'd received one email, a formal apology and a promise to respect her wishes if she preferred no contact. The EcoRide app now offered her a selection of drivers that never included him. Late one evening, as Maya locked up the garden shed after a long day of planting, a familiar voice behind her sent a jolt through her system. "The tomatoes look healthy." She turned to find Nico leaning against the garden fence. He was dressed simply again, in jeans and a faded t-shirt, looking more like the driver she'd first met than the CEO she'd last seen. "What are you doing here?" she asked, surprised by the flutter in her chest, despite herself. "Officially, site visit for the partnership program." He hesitated. "Unofficially? I missed you." Maya crossed her arms protectively. "You could have called." "Would you have answered?" The honest question hung in the air between them. Nico stepped closer. "I brought something for you." He handed her a small, recycled paper envelope. Inside was a simple EcoRide ID badge with her photo, clearly taken from her project website, and the title, Maya Chen, Director of Community Partnerships. "What's this?" "A job offer," Nico explained. "We need someone who understands both transportation equity and food justice to lead our community initiatives." The board approved it unanimously. Maya studied the badge. "So I'd work for you?" "With me," Nico corrected. "Equal voice in all partnership decisions. Complete autonomy over your garden projects." "And what about..." Maya gestured vaguely between them, the unspoken connection that had been building before everything fell apart. Nico's expression softened. That's completely separate. The job is yours regardless. As for us, he took a deep breath. I've never met anyone who challenges me the way you do, Maya, who sees the world with such clarity and compassion. I don't care if you're angry with me for another month or another year. I'll wait. The sincerity in his voice broke through her remaining defenses. I was hurt, Maya admitted. Not because you're a CEO, but because you didn't trust me with the truth. I wanted to tell you so many times, Nico said. That night in your apartment during the storm. But I kept finding reasons to wait. The longer I waited, the harder it became. Maya touched the badge thoughtfully. I need time to think about the job. Of course. But maybe we could start with dinner, she suggested. A real date where neither of us is pretending to be someone we're not. Relief and hope washed across Nico's face. I know a great place. Small family restaurant, best sustainable seafood in the city. Let me guess, Maya smiled. You own that too. No, Nico laughed. But the owner might give us the good table when she recognizes me. As they walked out of the garden together, Maya realized something fundamental had shifted. The deception that had divided them had also forced a level of honesty few relationships ever achieve. So, she asked as they reached the street, your car or mine? Actually, Nico grinned, taking her hand. I thought we might walk. Sometimes the journey is better when you take the route less traveled. Maya's fingers intertwined with his as they set off down the twilight-bathed street, toward a destination neither of them could fully envision, but both were eager to discover.